we've been in China for 14 years right now. We just went into India. This is probably our second year. So we're talking of two very different scenarios. When we first went into China, I think you can imagine 14, 15 years ago, the talent pool is very, very different. Local talents are as yet not accustomed to multinational corporate governance and that sort of thing. So there was that fear that if we were to have local leadership, what would that company become? I think today we're talking a lot about company values, company culture, and all that. And I like to just say that when you use company culture and values as the cornerstone in building your company, you actually attract talents that subscribe to those values and those culture. The important thing is that as a company, I think you've got to be consistent. You cannot have one set of values to your customer, another set of values to your employees. So in China, we've been very, very successful. What we did first and foremost was I was the first president of Mary Kay China. So when I left, I had a choice of bringing in an expat or looking for someone who is local. In the end, we compromised, and what we found was someone who is a Chinese American, who was born in China, went over to the United States, but in all intents and purposes, he is very much Chinese. But what is more important is that this person who's going to be the leader of the organization has the heart of the company, because then from there we grew, and right now I think I'm very, very proud to say that we've been voted best employers in China for 3 years consecutively. I think we're the only company that has achieved that by Fortune Asia, or Fortune China. And we now do have not only our first tier management, they're all local Chinese, but we're training up the second tier and the third tier with a very strong training program on leadership that's based very much on the company's values and culture. So on China's side, yes, absolutely. We tried to replicate the same thing in India. And things are still a little bit young at this present point in time, but I can tell you that Chinese executives and Indian executives are very different. For one thing, the Chinese executives tend to listen a lot more, and the Indian executives tend to talk a lot more. But again, I think we're using the same strategy in talent development, and that is very much based on the values and the culture of the company. In fact, when we went in and recruited our team, we were very particular about educating the headhunters about the values and the culture of the company. And one of the things that we have put our candidates to the test was basically to ask a very soul-searching question, and that is, what is your mission in life? If your mission in life doesn't align with our mission, then I think you're going to be very frustrated working for us. So far, I think we've got a very happy group of people in India. Talent moves very quickly, natural attrition, but we've had less than, in the last 2 years, less than 10% resignation.